The global economy increasingly rewards knowledge and complexity, not just what you can dig out of the ground. If you want to move from potential to prosperity, we must stop being just a source of raw material and start being source of idea, innovation, and complex products. Prayer, as good as it is, will not solve our problem. Strategy will solve our problem.
On this note, Dr. Sir, may I humbly ask you to please stand. May I humbly request that you step forward and come here, sir. I call on University Bossa to come and officially decorate Dr. Zach Adedeji. You can do much better for that. We've had a handsome-looking young man before you. And permit me to call him beautiful lecturer to come and read the citation of a very handsome Dr. Zach Adedeji. And that is Dr. Philomena Ife Ibokwe.
I've been asked to further give an abridged version of this. Of course, if we are to take a full citation of Dr. Zach Adedeji, we may not be able to leave here today. But I've been asked to give an abridged version. So this is what I want to do now. So permit me to go ahead with this. Citation of Zach Adedeji, PhD. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished scholars, esteemed faculty members, students, and members of the academic community. Today, we gather for the inaugural Faculty of Administration Distinguished Personality Lecture of Obafemi Awolowo University on the theme, From Potential to Prosperity, Export-Led Economy. It is therefore most fitting that we honor and introduce a leader whose public service, intellectual grounding, and reformist accomplishment speak directly to the nation's pursuit of prosperity through productive capacity, competitiveness, and economic transformation. We are privileged to recognize Zach Adedeji, PhD, Executive Chairman of the Nigeria Revenue Service, NRS, one of Nigeria's foremost accountants, tax administrators, and economic reformers, a first-class graduate of accounting from this distinguished university, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. Dr. Adedeji proceeded to earn both his master's and doctoral degrees in accounting here, further complementing his academic foundation with executive education at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. His intellectual journey has therefore been rooted in rigor, policy, and a strong appreciation for institutions as drivers of development. Dr. Adedeji's career reflects service across both public and private sectors, spanning state, national, and corporate institutions. As Commissioner for Finance in Oyo State, he expanded the state's revenue capacity and institutionalized fiscal discipline. At the federal level, he served with distinction as Executive Secretary and CEO of National Sugar Development Council, contributing to industrial policy and backward integration frameworks, and later as Special Advisor to the President on Revenue, shaping fiscal strategy at a critical period in national reform. In September 2023, he assumed leadership of Nigeria's National Revenue Administration at a defining moment for the country's economy. Under his stewardship, the institution has undergone ambitious transformation, modernizing tax administration, deepening digitalization, improving compliance, strengthening institutional trust, and embedding a people-technology process culture. Most notably, Dr. Adedeji successfully guided the historic transition from the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, to the Nigeria Revenue Service, NRS, a landmark institutional shift, widely regarded as one of the most consequential reforms in Nigeria's fiscal landscape since independence. This transition represents not merely a change of name, but a redefinition of mandate, operational architecture, and policy alignment in support of Nigeria's broader economic agenda. The outcomes of its reforms are evident. Revenue performance has grown significantly. Leakages have been curtailed, staff morale has improved, and institutional credibility has strengthened, positioning revenue administration as an enabler of national development rather than a bureaucratic obstacle. The NRS will become a strategic pillar of the administration's economic reforms, critical to market stability, competitiveness, and the pathway toward an export-oriented, productive economy. For an export-led economy to emerge, nations must mobilize domestic resources, strengthen their fiscal frameworks, and build competitive industrial sectors. Dr. Adedeji's work reinforces this logic, that prosperity is not accidental, but the outcome of disciplined institutions, sound public finance, and policies that unlock investment, production, and trade. His leadership exemplifies how revenue administration, when visionary and efficient, can support industrial output, enhance investors' confidence, and steer the country from latent potential to realize prosperity. Dr. Adedeji stands today as part of the new generation of Nigerian reformers working to reposition public institutions for a more globally competitive national economy. His journey continues to inspire young professionals, policymakers, scholars, and administrators. His contributions will remain a reference point in Nigeria's fiscal and economic development discourse. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in honoring and welcoming Zach Adedeji, PhD, Executive Chairman of the Nigerian Revenue Service, our distinguished personality lecturer for this historical event.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Great event. Let's have a seat. The Vice Chancellor, my daddy, thank you very much for this honor. I don't take it for granted. Thank you very much. My lecturers, I want to stand on the existing protocol because of time. But there is no way I will not make reference to something. Coming to campus today was, I've been looking for the right word to use, but it's a dream fulfilled. And one of the reasons I allowed the students to make presentation, I know the number of time that you've committed to this practice, and it is unfair on part of me to say that I will not give you your own moment of glory. So thank you for those presentations, including that of my junior colleagues, the Part 3 accounting students. So thank you very much. I'm a Tekun commander. I know he may not remember. He played a significant role in my life. I remember when I was in ND1 in Federal Polytechnic, Ede. He was a lawyer affiliated to Gadifa-Emi Chamber. And they were looking for indigent students to get scholarship. And throughout the Federal Polytechnic Ede, then I was a scholar as a ND1 student. And he was the coordinator for the Southwest. So after all the tests, they said I was the only one qualified from the Federal Polytechnic Ede to attend the same interview with Gadifa-Emi Chamber in Lagos. And he was the one that coordinated us then. They took us, and just to make it open, that would be my first time in Lagos in my life, because I am a proud village boy. So I remember Federal Polytechnic Ede Registrar 505 was the Peugeot car that took us to Lagos. And I stayed with the registrar. He was there. That day was 20,000 naira. And just to put it in normal thing, I don't know how much they pay for ICANN today. That was like 200 million naira. I returned to Ede and I said, what will I do with this money? The total sales of my mother in a year during the period possibly was under 2,000 naira, because it's cassava and maize. It is after the leftover, after what we've eaten, is what they take to market. And that was the seed, because I went to my mentor now, and I hope he's here, and I said, what did I do with money? You are brilliant. The only thing you can do is ICANN. I said, they said ICANN is only done by those people that have graduated from university. They said, no, I will take you to Osogbo Professional Center. It's opposite NUJ, where I started my ATS 1 with that money that I got. As God will have it, I have it. When I finish that money, I qualified as ATS accountant before leaving Ede. And when I got here, I thought the help has ended, and God brought Professor Asalu to be the one. When we were here, I remember I was in the class there. It was ICANN period. And he said, Zach, your mates are getting ready for ICANN. What's the problem? I said, the way this thing they do, it's not that way. And he took me to the community bank. That's what I was looking at it. It was the behind here. Draw the check and gave me. And that is how I got qualified as chartered accountant. And the rest is the history, as they say. So only God will reward all of you, including those people who have done many things that I cannot say publicly. Thank you, my mom, for that early morning lectures. Thank you very much. So I'm happy to be here today. And I was asking my dean that how long do I have? Because my primary job, my core duty is lecturing. This is what my primary goal in life is to lecture. And I hope very soon I will be allowed, after finishing my journey in public sector, to come here and do that. So I thank my colleagues from Nigeria Revenue Service, my classmates. You made me remember those wonderful days. Thank you for the honor. I don't take it for granted. My colleagues, Director, All Service and Special Service, Mr. Dayo Yaniwura, thank you for all being here. My lecturers, I thank you all. Because of our time, I will definitely do a speech of this lecture. And I think it will be made public, and then we will have it. So the topic we want to discuss is from potential to prosperity. And I want to give some paraphrase to it before I read the text. Even while we were here, which is roughly 20 years ago, everybody would say Nigeria is a giant of Africa. We have a lot of potential. We have a lot of potential. And 20 years, 25 years down the lane, where are we? And what are the problems? We pray. We are not only the prayer warrior. Israeli, we have the Holy Land there, they pray. In Mecca, they pray. So prayer, as good as it is, will not solve our problem. Strategy will solve our problem. And that is part of where I will go. I will deviate from the reading text just to put context into it. And it is normally done. I know 85% of people here are students. Admin students, law, different class. So there will be a prize after this lecture. And the prize is simple. I know that the school fees in Ife is small, it's not big money. But there will be a prize for the 20 students that can summarize my lecture in 3 pages. So I know what I'm looking for, and then the exam time starts from now, and it will end 1 hour after my lecture. I know the Dean, Faculty of Admin, will collect the script, and the first 20 top students, I will be responsible for their next 1 year, all expenses in this university. It doesn't matter whether you are a law student, you are medicine, anyone that can do that summary. I have summary myself, so it's not that you just copy something. So I will go back to my text. Distinguished Vice Chancellor, Faculty Dean, esteemed professors, vibrant student of Great Ife, and honored guest, it is privilege to present this paper at this inaugural Distinguished Personality Lecture of this Faculty of Administration. Well, we are here today at Obafemi Awolowo University, a bedrock of intellectual rigor, to confront a paradox that has defined our national narrative for decades. Why does Nigeria, a nation of such immense human and natural potential, remain tattered to the brink of prosperity without quite crossing over? The paper I present today, From Potential to Prosperity, Export-Led Economy, moves beyond the standard metrics of GDP to offer a sobering diagnosis of Nigeria's economic trajectory from 1998 to 2023. Using the Harvard Atlas of Economic Complexity, we find that Nigeria's story is one of the structural stagnation. While global peers like Vietnam have successfully transitioned from agriculture to high-tech manufacturing, Nigeria remains monolithic, with an export profile dangerously anchored to the volatile fluctuation of crude oil and gas. Our current standing is a wake-up call. Stagnant complexity. Nigeria ranks 142nd out of 145 countries on Economic Complexity Index. Predictor of growth. Because of this ECI, it is a leading indicator of future wealth. The Harvard Growth Lab projects a sluggish annual growth rate of just 2.2% for Nigeria over the next decade, a figure that barely keeps pace with our population growth. The missing middle. We possess high-tech oil sector and low productivity informal sector, but we lack the vibrant, labor-absorbing industrial base that serves as a bridge to higher complexity. This lecture we analyze the vicious circle of interconnected failures from the Dutch disease and infrastructure deficit to inconsistent trade policy that have rendered Nigeria goods uncompetitive. However, we are not here merely to lament. We are here to discuss a phased roadmap designed to break this cycle. By shifting our focus from simple diversification to the deliberate accumulation of productive know-how, and by leveraging the AFCTA as a regional catalyst, we can move Nigeria up the global value chain. This is a journey from being a mere supplier of raw material to becoming an active participant in global innovation. Let us begin this critical dialogue on how we translate Nigeria's potential into sustainable prosperity. And just to put it for my students that are writing, any one of us here that is Scrabble player, I want you to think how many words you can form from one syllable or one alphabet. How many words can you form? When you have only A or B, just think. So you will answer that question than the lecture. Just think if you are a good Scrabble player, if you have only one alphabet. You tell me the number of words you can form with one alphabet. To truly understand Nigeria and its global peers, I followed such different economic paths over the last 3 decades. We need to move beyond traditional metrics like gross domestic product. While GDP tells us the size of an economy, it is a lagging indicator that often misses the underlying health of a nation. That is where the Harvard Gold Lab Atlas of Economic Complexity comes in, providing a lens that assesses our underlying productive capacity. Think of a sustainable development not as a race to just produce more of the same stuff, but as a journey of a learning and accumulating collective knowledge. In this framework, products are essential vehicle for know-how, a specific combination of technology, skills, and capacity of our institution to function. When a country exports a wide variety of sophisticated goods, it demonstrates a deep base of this collective know-how. This knowledge is the real engine of long-term prosperity because it allows an economy to adapt, innovate, and move into higher value-added activities. This perspective fundamentally changes our goal. We should not just want to increase our output. We want to strategically enhance the complexity of that output. You can see a temporary surge in GDP because of a commodity price boom, as we have seen with oil in Nigeria. But if the underlying knowledge in the economy does not improve, that growth will always be fragile and unsustainable. We measure this using the Economic Complexity Index. This score looks at how many different products a country exports and how many other countries are capable of making those same products. If you produce a wide variety of things that very few other nations can replicate, you have high ECI, which signal advanced productive capacity. The reason this matters for everyone in this room is that a high ECI is a fantastic predictor of future growth. Research shows that countries with higher complexity than their income level tend to grow significantly faster in the following decade. While the ECI tells us where we stand, the product space shows us where we can go. It is a map that represents how all traded goods are related. Each product is a node, and the distance between nodes shows how similar the skill needed to make them are. For example, the skill used in textile cluster are close to those needed for garment, but they are very far from the machinery or electronics cluster. The vital takeaway here is that diversification is part dependent. It's much easier for a country to start producing goods that are nearby in product space because they leverage the skill they already have. If you export cotton fabric, moving to finished garment is a logical next step. But jumping directly from raw material to semiconductor, that is a massive gap that requires entirely different know-how and infrastructure. By using this map, we can transform the abstract goal of diversification into a concrete roadmap, identifying the adjacent industry where we can actually succeed. The focus has to shift from quantity of what we send abroad to the quality of knowledge we build at home. Now that we understand the framework, let us look at the mirror. When we examine Nigeria's export performance over the last 25 years, the story is not one of the progress or transformation, but of troubling stagnation. Despite our vast human and natural resources, our export profile has fundamentally failed to evolve. We have remained tethered to a single commodity class, oil and gas, which leaves us vulnerable to every ripple in global markets. And the question I asked earlier, that when you have one alphabet, what can you write from it? I would not want to raise question because I want people to know it, because I will say answer to that. The simple question is that with one alphabet, you cannot write anything. And that's the story of Nigeria before now. Because you have only oil and gas, it is alphabet in development, in progress. Except you have other alphabet, that is where you can write something. And that is what you see Mr. President is doing by focusing on non-oil export-led economy. That is what the reason why the first thing Mr. President did is to remove subsidy from oil. Because we rely so much on it, thinking that one alphabet, we can write word from it, which we all know is impossible. If you look at the total value of our goods export between 1998 and 2023, you see a chart defined by dramatic, almost violent fluctuation. Our earnings are essentially a direct reflection of global crude oil price rather than our own industrial productivity. For example, during the commodity price super cycle, our export value surged to a peak of $130 billion in 2011. I mean $130 billion. But look at what happened next. The 2024 oil price crashed, and the subsequent 2016 recession sent export tumbling down to just $36 billion, from $130 billion to $36 billion. By 2022, as oil price recovered, our export climbed back to $66 billion, but this volatility is exactly the problem. It makes long-term economic planning nearly impossible because our national revenue, foreign exchange reserve, and government budget are subject to external forces we cannot control. While those high-price years deliver massive revenue windfall, we failed to translate that cash into resilient economic structure that could wither the inevitable downturn. The root of this volatility is persistent lack of diversification. Throughout this entire period, crude oil and gas overwhelmingly dominated our export. In 2023, crude petroleum was valued at $43 billion and petrol gas at $8.3 billion. Together, these two products account for vast majority of our total good exports. Everything else in our basket is of marginal significance by comparison. For context, the next largest exports in 2023 were fertilizer at $1 billion compared to $43 billion from crude, and cocoa bean at $481 million. This massive gap between hydrocarbon and everything else represents multi-decade failure to develop a competitive non-oil sector. Here is the crisis. This brings us back to the Economic Complexity Index we discussed earlier. In 2023, Nigeria ranked 142nd out of 145 countries. Think about that for a moment. We are in the bottom tier of global economic complexity, alongside resource-dependent and fragile states. While other developing nations have spent the last decade climbing the ladder, Nigeria has essentially stood still. The Harvard Growth Lab analysis is quite blunt. Nigeria is less complex than expected for its income level. This is a strong negative indicator for our future. Because of this mismatch, by the 2033 growth projection forecast a sluggish annual growth rate of just 2.2% for Nigeria. That performance will rank us in the bottom half of the country globally and barely matches our population growth. Without a fundamental shift in our structure, we are on the path towards relative decline. Some might argue that we see more made in Nigeria labor or new agricultural exports, while it is true that we have added products like sesame seed, raw cashew nut, or to our export manifest. This is what we call surface level diversification. These are low complexity agricultural products. They do not require us to develop sophisticated new know-how in the area like advanced logistics, precision manufacturing, or technology integration. Focusing on the quantity of new export lines rather than the quality or complexity of those lines creates an illusion of progress. Our export list might look longer on paper, but because our underlying productive structure has not become more sophisticated, our ECR score remains stagnant. The product space map helps explain why this is so difficult for us. Our existing know-how is heavily concentrated in the extractive industry cluster. Unfortunately, this cluster has almost no direct link to the dense, highly connected cluster of manufacturing like machinery, electronics, and chemical. Between 2008 and 2023, Nigeria added only 6 new products to its export basket. Because of our current position, the Afad Atlas concludes we are positioned to take advantage of very few opportunities to diversify using what we already know. There are no easy incremental steps into complex industry from where we are. Jumping from crude oil to electronics assembly is not a small step. It is a massive gap in skill, infrastructure, and institution. Our current economy is effectively hollowed out. At one extreme, we have capital in high-tech oil sector. At the other, a fast, low-productive agricultural and informal sector. What is missing is the middle, a vibrant, labor-absorbing industrial manufacturing base. This missing middle is statistical reason for our stagnant ECI and our failure to embark on the path of structural transformation that has lifted so many other nations out of poverty. To truly understand the depth of Nigeria's stagnation, we have to step aside our border and look at our peers. We are not just looking at number in vacuum. We are looking at the strategic choices made by nations like Vietnam, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Brazil, and South Africa. Over the same 25 years period, while there are many ways to underperform, the path to success is remarkably consistent. It is defined by a clear strategy to build economic complexity. Let's take Vietnam, for example. Let's start with the star performance, which is Vietnam. Vietnam's journey since 1998 is quite frankly a masterclass in export-led development. If you look back to 1998, Vietnam started from much lower economic base than Nigeria. Their GDP per capita was just $361 in 1998, while ours was $547. But look at where they are today. Vietnam has engineered a transformation so profound that its per capita income is now 4 times of that of Nigeria. How did they do it? It wasn't lucky break or sudden discovery of oil. It was a deliberate, painful move up the value chain. In 2000, their ECI rank was 95. By 2023, they had climbed to 48 globally. Their total exports skyrocketed from a modest $11 billion in 1998 to a staggering $404 billion in 2023. They executed the classic structural transformation, moving people and resources from low productivity agriculture to high productivity manufacturing. They did not just jump into high-tech overnight. They first built a competitive textile industry and then used that experience as a ladder to reach high complexity sector like electronics and machinery. Today, when you think of Vietnam export, you should not think of rice or coffee. You should think of integrated circuit, computers, and broadcasting equipment. Since 2008 alone, they have added 37 new significant exports to their basket, while Nigeria added only 6. Because they built this dense base of manufacturing know-how, they are now projected to grow at nearly 5% annually for the next decade. Bangladesh. Now, let's look at Bangladesh. They present a very different, almost cautionary case. On the surface, things look great. They have had an average growth of 5.1% over the last 5 years and have lifted millions out of poverty. But if we look under the hood, using our complexity framework, we see a problem. Despite their growth, Bangladesh ECI ranking actually worsened over the last decade, falling to 128 globally. They are growing, but they are not becoming more complex. Why? Because they have specialized in a low complexity niche, garment. Over 85% of their exports are things like t-shirt and suit. They have mastered this one sector, but have failed to build any capacity outside of it. They are stuck in what we call a low complexity trap. Their skills are so specific to apparel that they find it incredibly hard to diversify into more sophisticated industry. While they are still doing better than Nigeria, their path shows that growth without complexity has a ceiling. Indonesia. Indonesia is a fellow commodity exporter like Nigeria, and its story is warning for us. While they export a lot, 287 billion in 2023 compared to Nigeria of 66 billion. Their development has been far less dynamic than Vietnam. Their growth is what the Harvard Atlas calls static. It's driven mostly by moderate complexity commodities like palm oil, coal, and processed mineral. Like Nigeria, Indonesia has struggled to build a competitive manufacturing base. Their share of global textile market has stalled, and they have not been able to get their electronics or machinery sector off the ground. They have added 16 new products since 2008, but they have not been able to produce high enough volume to truly change their economic density. It is a reminder that being rich in resources is not enough if you don't use those resources to build industrial know-how. And that is the story of Nigeria. Go to South Africa. Perhaps the most sobering part of this analysis is looking at South Africa and Brazil. These were the heavyweight of the developing world. For a long time, South Africa was the most industrialized economy on our continent. But today, it is showing signs of deindustrialization. Its ECI ranking has dropped by 13 positions in just 10 years, falling to 77. They are losing the productive capacity they once had, and their growth is now coming from low complexity minerals like gold and coal. Brazil's decline has been even more dramatic. They fell from 37th in the world in 2000 to 93 in 2023. Think about that. A major global player saw its economic complexity collapse because it failed to diversify its 373 billion export portfolio. What is fascinating about Brazil is that they actually had a world-class success story in agribusiness. Through a state-led research agency called Embrapa, they became an agricultural powerhouse. Brazil transformed itself from food insecure nation to a global agricultural power. Embrapa innovation in tropical agriculture enabled a massive expansion of production and productivity, making Brazil the world's largest exporter of commodity like soya beans, beef, and corn. However, this remarkable success was siloed. The know-how developed in agribusiness did not spill over to catalyze a broader industrial transformation. Instead, the economy doubled down on its comparative advantage in commodity, while manufacturing base withered away. In all this analysis, what is the critical takeaway for Nigeria? When we put these stories together, the divergence is clear. Vietnam used global trade to build a resilient, complex economy, while others remain dependent as we think of our roadmap. First, avoiding the resources cost is necessary, but it is not enough. You need a proactive strategy to build a productive capacity. Vietnam's success came from integrating itself into global value chain. They positioned themselves as the assembly hub for the world electronics, importing high-tech parts and exporting finished products. This allowed them to borrow technology and management skills from abroad to build their own know-how, raw material to this chain, not an active participant within the chain. Second, we must realize that productive capacity are not permanent. When you look at the issue of Brazil and that of South Africa, the example of South Africa and Brazil shows us that you can actually lose your industrial edge if you aren't careful. Over-reliance on the easy path of resource extraction creates economic and political incentive. Finally, for Nigeria, which is at even earlier stage of development and even less diversified than this nation, the warning is stark. Relying solely on a natural endowment is not just a path to stagnation, it is a path to regression. The global economy increasingly rewards knowledge and complexity, not just what you can dig out of the ground. If you want to move from potential to prosperity, we must stop being just a source of raw material and start being source of idea, innovation, and complex products. So far, we have seen the success of Vietnam and the decline of Brazil. Now, we have to ask the hard question: why has Nigeria, with all its brilliance and resources, stay in the same spot for 30 years? The diagnosis is not found in one single problem, but in a series of deeply entrenched, mutually reinforcing barriers that have created a vicious circle. This cycle systematically stifles the emergence of any competitive in non-oil sector. And I start with paradox of plenty. Nigeria is essentially a textbook example of economy afflicted by the resource cost. It sounds like a contradiction. How can a wealth be a cause? But our immense oil and gas riches have paradoxically hindered our broader development. But our immense oil and gas riches have paradoxically hindered our broader development in oil and gas. Consistently account for 80% of our exports, and more than half of our budget revenue through royalty and taxes. This has created a monolithic economic structure where everything else is afterthought. This over-reliance leads to a phenomenon called Dutch disease. When large amount of foreign currency flood in from oil sales, it keeps Nigeria artificially strong. Naira artificially strong. While a strong currency might sound good, it makes our other potential exports like textile, processed food, or manufactured goods much more expensive and uncompetitive on the global market. At the same time, it makes imports cheaper, which flood our domestic market and suffocate local industry before they can even get off the ground. And this is one of the reasons when in December, you see Mr. President adding tariff to the importation of PMS in Nigeria. Because when you have a product being manufactured in your country and you allow unbridled import of the same product into your country, that is path to regression. That is what destroyed the textile industry in the north. That is why Mr. President has chosen different paths to make sure that we protect non-oil manufacturing that we have in the country. Beyond the economics, it affects our institution. Historically, our policymaker has prioritized the allocation and distribution of oil revenue over the hard work of creating an environment where productive non-oil business can thrive. We have seen a persistent lack of potential commitment to re-diversification because the immediate reward of oil rent are far more attractive than the long-term difficult work of industrial policy. If you want to export to the world, you need a foundation to stand on. In Nigeria, our infrastructural deficit had as a binding constraint on everything we try to do. For a business to succeed, it needs to move goods, it needs power to produce them, but in Nigeria, deficiency in this area imposed prohibitive costs. Let's talk about our ports. The gateway of Apapa Tinker. The port was built roughly 60 years ago. It's a major problem. What is the total population of Nigeria as at that time? What is our population today? What is the volume of products importing to Nigeria in 1960? What is total product importing to the country today? For a decade, our trade and microeconomic policy have been a source of instability and incoherence. We find ourselves in a strange position where government voices are desire for export promotion but simultaneously implement protectionist policy that cripple potential exports. We have a long history of inward-looking import substitution strategy. This includes outright import ban, high and often arbitrary tariff, and even sudden land border closure. While these are intended to protect local industry, they often backfire. They create local monopolies, raise costs of consumer, and most importantly, harm domestic producers who need those banned or tariffed items as essential input for their own manufacturing. As if these structural issues were not enough, we are now facing two new policy headwinds that threaten our ability to attract the investment we need for diversification. First, there is the OECD Global Minimum Tax. This initiative established a 50% minimum corporate tax for large multinational enterprises. For decades, developing countries like ours use tax incentives, basically saying, come here and pay zero tax to attract foreign investment. But this new rule neutralized that advantage. If a company pays less than 15% here, their own country can collect the difference as a top-up tax. Essentially, our tax incentive becomes a gift to the treasury of another country rather than a benefit for the investor. In response, our 2025 reform has already introduced a 50% effective tax rate for large companies. This means we can no longer rely on tax break as our primary selling point. We have to fix our infrastructure and institutional quality to be competitive. Second, we have domestic audit, most especially from the clearing process that we have prior to now. Anyone that imports understand how long it takes to clear a container. This is being also resolved by introduction of the single window, which by God's grace, Mr. President will launch March 26, where we consolidate all import processing so that when you import into the country, it's like you just place order on Amazon. While we have spent a lot of time discussing the hyper-competitiveness of the global market, we must look at the massive opportunity sitting right in our doorstep. The Africa Continental Free Trade Area is far more than just another trade agreement. It is a strategic stepping stone for Nigeria. It offers us a way to build our productive capacity in a regional arena that is much accessible before we try to take on the established global giants in Europe, Asia, or America. The number involved are staggering. We are looking at a combined market of over 1.5 billion people with a total GDP of approximately $3.4 trillion. The World Bank estimates that if we implement this effectively, we could lift 30 million Africa out of extreme poverty and significantly raise the income of 68 million others. For Nigeria, as the continent's largest economy, the stakes are even higher because of our sheer size and industrial potential. The most important thing for us to realize is that trade within Africa looks very different from our trade with the rest of the world. When we trade with developed nations, We typically send them raw material and buy back finished good. But intra-Africa trade is already far more industrialized. The product Nigeria sends to Ghana, Kenya, or Cote d'Ivoire are more likely to be manufactured items, plastic, building material, and processed food, rather than crude oil we ship to global market. This means AFCTA aligns perfectly with our urgent need to diversify away from hydrocarbon. In 2024, Nigeria took a major step by formally joining AFCTA Guided Trade Initiative. This is a pilot phase that led us to test the actual operational environment for trade. It signaled a move from just signing paper to actual implementation. We have already identified specific products where we can start, including water closet sanitary items, soap, hygiene products, glass and synthetic fiber, and various plastic. The real prize, however, lies in positioning Nigeria as a hub for regional value chain. We should not just be looking to sell finished goods, we should be looking to provide the components that fuel Africa industry. Take the automotive sector, for example. The Africa automotive market is projected to reach $42 billion by 2027. Yet, the continent currently imports almost all its vehicles. AFCTA rule of origin are specifically designed for products that are truly made in Africa. Nigeria already has an existing assembly capacity and national development plan for this industry. Instead of just trying to be an assembler of imported kits, we can pivot to become a regional supplier of automotive components like glass, tires, and plastic. We could supply major assembly hubs in South Africa or Morocco, or serve the entire West Africa market. This is much more feasible entry point into global automotive market. I want to be clear, though, the path is not without the hurdles. The same infrastructure problem we diagnosed earlier, our poor ports, bad road, and power shortage remain massive barrier to regional trade. We also have to deal with non-tariff barrier. For instance, the sheer number of checkpoints along Lagos-Abidjan corridor continue to frustrate our exporter and drive up costs. There is also a very real fear in Abuja regarding transshipment. This is where goods from non-African countries are brought into an African neighbor, minimally processed, just to get stamped and then flooded into the Nigerian market to bypass our tariff. This fear has historically driven our protectionist instinct. However, if we are to succeed, we must move beyond protectionism and embrace a strategy of competitive integration. This means we cannot just sign protocol. We must actively fix the trade barrier. We must invest in our trade corridor, reduce border delay, and harmonize our standard so that the Made in Nigeria label become a badge of quality trusted across the entire continent. The AFCTA is our laboratory. It is where we can practice our complexity, the logistics, and the industrial discipline required to eventually win on the global stage. Distinguished participants, we have spent our time today analyzing the problem and looking at the global landscape. We have seen that Nigeria's 3-decade-long stagnation is not an accident of fate, but a consequence of our strategic choices. Now, we must discuss the cure. Breaking this cycle requires a total paradigm shift in how we think about economic policy. We have to move away from short-term management of oil revenue and ineffective protectionism. Instead, we must embrace a long-term coherent strategy aimed at building our productive capability and increasing our economic complexity. What follows is a sequenced, multi-phase roadmap designed to dismantle the barrier we've identified and set us on the path to prosperity. This roadmap is aligned with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and presents a challenging but credible pathway forward. the three guiding principles. Before we get into specific phases, let us establish the three principles that must anchor everything we do. Think of these as the compass for our national economic journey. First, we must prioritize complexity, not just diversification. Our goal is not just to add more low-value products like raw nuts or seed to our list. We want to increase our economic complexity index by targeting sophisticated goods that embody deep collective know-how. Second, we must make strategic bets based on the product space. Industrial policy should not be about picking winner out of thin air. It must be a data-driven process where we identify nearby products, things we can actually produce using the skill we've already have or can easily acquire. Third, export orientation must be our organizing principle. Every single policy, whether it is about taxes, trade, or infrastructure, must be judged by one question: does this make Nigeria exporter more or less competitive? We must eliminate policy incoherence and align every part of government to support our integration into global economy. Phase 1, which is from year 1 to 5. The first 5 years are all about stabilization and clearing the self-inflicted ordeal that make trade so difficult in Nigeria. We need to create a baseline of predictability so that business can plan. And that is what you see we've done. Mr. President removed fuel subsidy, unified the rate. Now business can actually predict when you sell, this is how much you get. When you have your dollar, this is what you do. President Tinubu has already taken the first difficult step. By unifying the foreign exchange rate, we are also seeing inflation beginning to trend downward after years of increases. This stability is the bedrock, and the central bank must continue to support policy that help our non-oil export stay competitive. But macroeconomic stability is only half the battle. We must rationalize our trade policy. Right now, our system of import ban and quota is unpredictable. We need to replace it with a simple, moderate, and stable tariff regime. Specifically, we need to address the 4% levy imposed through the Nigeria custom. This levy should be reduced back to 1%. We should fund the custom service through other means rather than taxing the very input our manufacturer need to produce goods. To really build investor confidence, we should announce a 5-year moratorium on any major changes to this tariff structure. This gives businesses the certainty they need to make long-term investment. Then there is the issue of physical bottleneck. The single window project is a vital piece of this puzzle. Once it's fully operational in 2026, it will start solving the inefficiency that plague our import and export. We also need to implement 24/7 port operation and immediately fix the access road to our major port. These are not just nice to have improvement. They are essential to reducing the cost that currently make Nigeria goods uncompetitive. Finally, in this first phase, we must invest in our people. A massive overhaul of our technical and vocational education and training system is non-negotiable. The government needs to work directly with industry cluster to design curricula that teach the specific skill identified in our product space analysis. We have already started overhauling VET, and we must see that through to its logical conclusion. And that is why I will yield to the request of the Vice Chancellor that when we leave here, we need to get to our innovation center to know whether the future has been prepared in those innovation centers. The second phase should be the building the capability, which is from year 2 to year 6. Once the foundation is stable, we move into the building phase. This is where we focus on the productive capability needed to diversify into more complex goods. Nigeria needs to move beyond generic industrial plan. The Ministry of Trade and Industry should commission a detailed analysis of our product space to identify a priority list of 10 to 15 products that are adjacent to what we already do. These should be products that are more complex than our current export, but are within our reach. Think about moving from raw leather to finished leather goods, or refining raw chemical into industrial input. Our support for this sector must be specific and performance-based. We should focus on helping firms access long-term finance for machinery, getting international quality certification, and funding research and development. Speaking of research and development, we have seen some exciting progress here. Through the Nigeria Tax Act of 2025, we've created a development levy that provides funding for agencies like NASENI, the National Information Technology Development Fund, and the National Board for Technical Incubation. It is estimated that about 400 billion naira will be available to this agency in 2026. However, we must ensure this money is actually used to build our technical capacity and not just spent on salaries and overhead. We are proposing a framework that limits overhead spending, much like the cap placed on TED fund. At least 80% of this fund should go towards research and development and building know-how, with no more than 20% for administrative costs. We also need to rethink our free trade and export zone. The new 15% global minimum tax make it harder to attract investment just by offering tax break. That means the quality of our infrastructure in this zone is now our most important selling point. We should stop trying to maintain dozens of unfunded zones. Instead, focus on our resources on 2 or 3 world class in location which is best access to ports. This zone must have independent, 24/7 reasonable price power, dedicated water supply, and direct transport link. They will serve all the incubator for the new industry. We identify our product space analysis. The Renew Hope Infrastructure Development Fund could be the vehicle to make this happen. And we go to the last phase. The final long phase is about deepening our industrial base and solidifying our spot in the global economy. We must foster deep linkage between our resources sector and the rest of the economy. For example, we can use Nigeria Content Development Fund to catalyze investment in a world-class petrochemical industry. This will supply input to our domestic plastic and packaging industry. We also need to retool the Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission to strategically target global value chain activities that can operate within our nearly competitive export zone. Finally, the quick infrastructure win from phase 1 must lead to a 20-year large-scale development plan. We need a power grid and multimodal transportation network of roads, rails, and ports that can support a modern industrialized nation. This plan should be broken down into 4-year cycle to ensure that projects are started and finished within a clear time frame. Conclusion. Distinguished VC, Dean, Professor, other guests, and my colleagues, let us be honest. This roadmap is ambitious. It requires sustained political will and commitment that lasts beyond election cycle. But the alternative is to continue down the path of stagnation and vulnerability. And that is the path Nigeria must avoid at all costs. President Tinubu has already begun the difficult work of rebuilding our economy. The goal now must be to transform Nigeria into a nation that possesses the collective knowledge to produce, to innovate, and to compete. By adopting a strategy focused on complexity, we can finally begin to harness our true potential. We can build an economy that is diversified, resilient, and most importantly, one that provides prosperity for all Nigeria. The journey from potential to prosperity is not a short one, but with the right map and the right resolve, it is journey we can finally compete. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. Please, we may be seated here. He has given it, and it was exceptionally professorial. You agree with me on that? Please give it to him again. Brother Taiwo, please stand, sir. People are remembered for two things in life: the problems you solved and the ones you created. These two gentlemen solved problem. They planted a seed. The seed did not only germinate, it's bearing fruit. I want other lecturers to please take note of these two.
So
They never knew that this young man then, or this young boy then, will become a man. And this man then will become an enigma. And this man will become national, international, and intercontinental. God bless you, sir. Sit down, brother. Dr. Isaka Adelabu and Dr. Wahid Adebiyi from the Federal Polyede, you're both recognized here. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And other, please emulate them. And comrade Amitolu Shitu, Egmaidide, face the crowd. Take a bow. Sit down. Now, this is a man who engineered the whole thing. We never can tell where this young one will say. No wonder, sir. When I said, because of your time, we have cancelled the presentation of OAU Staff School and International School. Professor Sak Adedeji said, no. Allow them. Allow them. No. Let them perform. Àṣé àwọn kan ti ṣerú ẹ̀ fáwọn náà. And he is performing now. You are not just a star, sir. You are a shining star. You are our sun. You are our moon. And you are our star. Because you are these three, continue to shine. We want to do some presentations here. I want to start from the lowest to the highest here. Once again, Mr. Vice Chancellor, with your kind permission, may I humbly request, if these people are around or their representatives who want to do presentations. Task Club OAU, are you around? Task Club OAU representative.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amezipi Adebayo, and I'm the president of the Tax Club, Obafemi Awolowo University. And this is an award of excellence presented to Dr. Zach Adedeji, the chairman, Nigeria Revenue Service. In recognition of your exemplary leadership and unwavering commitment to the development of taxation in Nigeria. So, we are here from the Tax Club, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Then the next one I call on Nigerian University Accounting Student Association. Noah, sir.
My name is Champion Ojedokun, the president of the Department of Accounting, Nigerian University Students Association, and also in conjunction with IFE Accounting Summit. We organize an annual accounting summit every year titled IFE Accounting Summit. So NOASA in conjunction with IAS were privileged to present this little token to you, sir. Thank you so much. Everybody,
all right. And of the greatest IFE, on behalf of the Great IFE Student Union, Obafemi Awolowo University. On behalf of the Great IFE Student Union, Obafemi Awolowo University, we want to present this special award of special recognition to Dr. Zach Adedeji, an alumnus of the institution, in recognition of your exemplary service and contribution to the society and the citadel of learning on this day, 5th February 2026. Thank you very much.
Oyo State Students Association.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adeniyi Kende Ojo. I am the president of the Federation of Oyo State Student Union, Obafemi Awolowo University. And we have an award of excellence for our man here from Oyo State, a man who has contributed immensely to the growth of the nation. an award of excellence in recognition of your distinguished service, immense contribution to nation building, and your exemplary legacy of impact on humanity, presented to SAC A. Adedeji, PhD, Executive Chairman of Nigerian Revenue Service, presented by the Federation of Oyo State Students Association, FOSU OAU, today, 5th February. Thank you very much, sir, for your service.
Department of Management and Accounting, if you are set to do your presentation, please come forward. Department of Local Government and Development Studies, please, if you are around, please come forward for your presentation. Department of International Relations.
On behalf of the Department of Accounting, we present this with love to Dr. Zacchaeus Adelabu Adedeji. God bless you.
Yes, we have that of the business administration here.
I appreciate you. We love you, and we are very much impacted by your lecture. And on behalf of the Business Administration Department, every staff, we want to give this to you in recognition of your contribution to business administration, to business development, to economic development, to the global development, and everything. God bless you, sir.
The Faculty of Administration is really telling us that this is their program. Put your hands together for yourselves. Any other department? Department of Local Government and Development Studies. There's the HOD.
On behalf of the Department of Local Government and Development Study, we are presenting this token to our presenter and our own Dr. Zacchaeus Adedeji for this honor. May the Lord bless you in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you. Faculty of Administration, International Relations there.
Dr. Zach Adedeji, on behalf of the staff and students of Department of International Relations who are out for global harmony, we realize that you are a kind of person the VC has described, Adaranita Matonile. Thank you very much.
Adaranita Matonile, a very diplomatic language there. Please give it to the Department of International Relations. Then we have the Faculty of Admin Students Association. Faculty of Administration Students Association.
By the virtue of nomenclature, I am Akilakpa Aziz Babatunde, the 001 Faculty of Administration Student Association. I hereby present, on behalf of Faculty of Administration Student Association, an award of excellence to Dr. Zach Adedeji, Chairman, Nigeria Revenue Service, as the guest speaker and awardee for the first Faculty of Administration Personality Lecture, presented this day, 5th February 2026. Congratulations, sir.
I take photograph with him. Now for the faculty itself, Faculty of Administration. All students please stand and remain standing. Students of the Faculty of Administration and any other student here, please stand and remain standing. For the presentation of the Faculty of Administration, the producer of Prince Dr. Zach Adedeji, a renowned professor of tax administration. Ebam fún látẹ̀wọ́ tó ní NAFDAC number.
Stand up for the champions, for the champions.
Thank you. Faculty of Administration, Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. Present distinguished alumnus and role model award to Dr. Zak A. Adedeji on this day, 5th of February, 2026. Congratulations.
May I ask all the heads of department, please come and join the dean here. All senior professors in the department, please come and join here. Exhibition of Unity in Diversity, Faculty of Administration. I thought the students will keep clapping for their lecturers and departments. The rear camera, are you true? Are you true? Then I call on the university administration, the Vice Chancellor, sir.
Again, we really want to appreciate God and thank Him a lot for all He's been doing for all of us. Just like the PRO will always say, we have no cause to record any negative incidents here. And we really want to thank God for this. And really appreciate God that we have somebody like this, that we are all celebrating today. For all that are here, I will just say before I read out, we'll all be celebrated one day. Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Nigeria, Distinguished Award for Excellence in Fiscal Policy Reform and Administration, presented to Zak Adedeji, PhD, Executive Chairman, Nigeria Revenue Service, presented this day, February 5th, 2026, by the Vice Chancellor, Professor Adebayo Simeon Bamire. Congratulations.
Are you true? Now please, may I ask that the Vice Chancellor alone with the awardee of today, the VC alone, the Vice Chancellor alone. Emma, Yabanshin son of Ben Yabanshin Wujuara. Then I recognize those who came from South Africa, particularly the University of Johannesburg. Now, please, yes, please. Those who graduated from here, welcome back to your alma mater. Yes. Atayinte ni lock láti wá síbí. We accommodate all of you here. Welcome to Africa's most beautiful campus. Please hold on. Some people are still coming. Please, Ray camera, did you get them? Can you get it? Are you true? Now, please, from the Federal Polytechnic Ede. From the Federal Polytechnic Ede. And 2005 sets, please get ready. From the Federal Polytechnic Ede. Poly Ede. Yes. And Dr. Amit Tolushitu, please come forward. Dr. Amit Tolushitu, please come forward. 2005 set, get 2005 set, please get set.
is so unjust. Children, you don't know who to trust.
Then the members of the local organizing committee, the members of LOC, Faculty of Administration, please make it quick. Yes. Please, LOC, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. After this, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, please get set. Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. Then the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Administration, please get set for the vote of thanks here. After the remarks from the guest lecturer and awardee. Vice Chancellor of University of Ilesha, Professor Taiwo Ashaolu, will please step forward to appreciate all of us on behalf of the awardee and the lecturer.
Great Ife. Great Ife. Yeah, on behalf of the awardee, Professor Zach Adedeji, I want to appreciate you for extending a hand of love and fellowship towards him. God bless you. Thank you.
Public Administration, please come and do your own presentation to him here. Thank you very much. The Vice Dean, Faculty of Administration.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of the Dean, Faculty of Administration, we want to thank Almighty God, and we want to thank all the eminent personalities here present, which we cannot continue to mention them one after the other, but specifically, we want to appreciate all members and staff of Nigerian Revenue Service. And in particular, we want to appreciate the distinguished award receiver in person of the chairman of Nigerian Revenue Service. And we want to extend our profound appreciation to the Vice Chancellor and all the three Deputy Vice Chancellors here present, all members of the management of the university, all the deans, provosts, heads of departments, professors here present. We've extended our profound appreciation to the Vice Chancellor and all the three Deputy Vice Chancellors, all professors, and all senior colleagues. And we want to thank all our students. Without you, there will not be faculty. Without you, there will not be this program. And I must extend my profound appreciation also to all the local organizing committee of this program. We want to say thank you all for your support. And this will not be the end. The Faculty of Administration has started this epoch-making event. It will be a continuous one. And we want to enjoy you all whenever we are having this program. Please support us in everything that we do. On behalf of the Dean once again, I want to say God bless you all and thank you all for coming. Thank you and God bless.
We have come to the end of this program. Shall we please stand for Great Ife Anthem? And after that, the national anthem. The Great Ife Anthem, please. All right. Please, we remain standing for one stanza, the first stanza of the national anthem. Slow movements there.
Our own dear native land, though tribe and tongue may
Stay where you are there.
in drums and proud to serve our sovereign fatherland.
I've just been informed now that the guest lecturer, Professor Zach Adedeji, will visit the Faculty of Administration on a tour. Summarized the lecture. Dr. Bello, where are you? Dr. Bello, please come here. Please, Professor Zach Adedeji said you submit your summary to him. Now. After now, forget it. After now, forget it. Your summary, give it to him now because it's over an hour. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Thank you, Prof. Sir.
We are using it in social sciences and
so
we have a
place
we can install the solar. So all the engine, all the AC for the second floor is okay. So I want to let me so that they will come out. So that's, we can go to
that's your university. No, most places here in we have all this large space.
So the next thing, the office and I will be appointed. But I will be engineering department.
Your one
will come out. Àwọn pàtó àpàtó tá a lè pè sí irú àwọn bíbí kan for their maintenance. If you go to Texas Tech, tẹ̀ bá dé restaurant wọn, àwọn food and department.
Àwọn students ló wà
bẹ́ẹ̀.
bẹ́ẹ̀.
Tẹ̀ bá dé kìíní, bó fi yẹ kó dá èèyàn a lè ní technical engineering student ká mọ́ ní àtó lè pàtó student pàtó kọ́mọ́ lè mọ̀ jẹ́ pàwọn náà jẹ́ maintenance officer fún àwọn building a lè ní electronics and energy kí iná ọ́fíìsì dé kí kìíní yẹn mọ̀ sí ṣé ń bọ̀ ẹ wà bẹ́ẹ̀ gbà tá a wà bí lọ sí wà bẹ́ẹ̀. ẹ àgbọ̀dọ̀ sọ ni yóò léwu èsì yóò léwu èsì.
Can make it entire.
Yeah, make it so that it's back out.
Practical sense of it. Ah, the Nigerian department. Can it building department? Can it building there? Why buy so what does it cost us? So bá dẹ̀ ti jẹ́ pé àwọn náà ń ṣe tó ń ṣe àlèmọ́ maintain àlèmọ́ ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀. And it's the only way.
Thank you. So what in summary is that this is the only university in Nigeria to only this ICT part.
Yeah.
And what we are trying to do is to create a community within the campus. Now we have a guest house. We have research.
Yes, no.
We have everything. So you can even stay here for like 3-4 months. We have one of the there is a lab here. We have
and then we continue to fund them to go and try what they can do. This makes sense, and we are here.
We just clear that place because that is where we want to put the center for nutrition as part of the program. Because we have a large population now.
God bless you.
Òkùnkùn sún apádà tọmọlẹ̀ sọ̀nà mi bàbá. Ọba tó jagun ayé mi là ìgbòho. Ẹ máa ṣe.